My name is Chris Jones. I'm the grounds superintendent of Pinehurst Resort. I have been with Pinehurst a total of just over 20 years. I started in February of 2003. So Pinehurst was originally established as a health retreat that also offered golf and equestrian activities. So it's changed a lot over the years, but it's originally what it was for, as a retreat for people that wanted to come down from the cold winters and still do all those activities. So they actually advertised the air, since we have so many pine trees here as compared to people up north. They actually advertised the air as having this piney scent that actually helped with people that had emphysema or couldn't breathe very well, that were maybe in congested cities. And so people came down here and used it as a health retreat in addition to doing the golf and leisure and equestrian activities. From that point on, they did have a lot of landscape they started putting in around the hotels. We have a lot of old pictures throughout the hotel that really show a lot of that old landscape. It's really neat to see. And then it continued to develop from there into what it is now. We have 3 to 4 acres of landscape material around all of our structures. A lot of the design that we do falls within that southern realm of landscape. A lot of camellias, a lot of azaleas, to get those colors in the spring and in the fall. Provide you a lot of evergreen color that way too, also with those things. And then a lot of hollies are used in our landscapes. Being as we are a high-end resort, our golf courses are some of the top-rated golf courses in the country and even in the world. A few of them are. I want to provide an experience that guests, when they're coming to stay, when they're coming to play golf here, that they also see a landscape that matches that same feel, that it's a landscape that really performs, that really looks well. Now, different buildings have different feels to them. For instance, the hotel has a lot of formal feel when you first kind of come up to it, because the building itself has a lot of formality to it. And so the way it's built, you match the landscape to that. But then we have other buildings, the landscape's a little different, but you still want to provide like a lot of contrasting colors, a lot of foundation plantings to really accentuate the buildings and build off of what those structures are, because a lot of our buildings are historical buildings. And so you want them to look really nice. You don't want to block them with a landscape, but you also don't want to not have anything there and they look bare. We use a tremendous amount of proven winners material in our flower beds. I would say that probably 80% of our flower beds are proven winners material. Some of my favorite plants to use that I've really begun to experiment with and enjoy the outcome of has been actually some of the roses and hydrangeas that I've been incorporating in the last 10 years or so around property. It provides this great summer color that we just didn't have before. A lot of camellias and azaleas have been used on property for years and years, even before the 20 years I've been here. And so you have those colors in the spring, late winter or early winter, but you have this dead zone in summertime where you just don't have any color at all coming from any type of shrub material. And so I began to incorporate a lot of the hydrangeas to give us that, and a lot of the roses I've been able to use around some areas to really provide some summer color also. They do really well. I mean, I have roses blooming into November, which is incredible to me, honestly. And they're types of roses that are so easy to maintain. You don't have to deal with pests or insects really so much. Oso Urban Legend and Oso Easy Peasy are some roses that I've been using, along with Limelight hydrangeas. We've been using a lot of those. I have some Incredible hydrangeas that I really like on the west lawn space over here. And we have some little lime hydrangeas that we've used along some spaces where you just need them to stay a little smaller, but still provide a lot of that summer color.
In 2024, the USGA will conduct the United States Open Championship at the historic Pinehurst Resort, specifically course number 2.
You think about what great U.S. Opens we had in 1999 and 2005, and then to get it restored truly to what Ross wanted.
During the 2005 Open, I was just an hourly worker in the grounds department. The superintendent at the time, he was totally in charge of the landscape design around the tents and corporate structures throughout the village that they created. USGA now does all of that themselves, but a lot of what we try to do is mimic things and or work alongside the USGA, similar plant materials or similar color schemes. This past year, I used a lot of red, white, and blue throughout our flower beds. The USGA colors are red, white, and blue, so it's something I tried to achieve with the flowerscapes that we did in our bed designs. And I wanted to really show those colors in the salvias that we use with the blue and in the lantanas with red and white that I could achieve. But we did also do a lot of things that would provide some summer color going into the open. Again, that's actually where I incorporated the use of those easy peasy roses up around the resort club itself, because I knew the club would be highly visible and so many people would be around the club. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people. I wanted to provide a little bit of color and have something larger than a flower display, because I've got lots of flower displays up there, so I wanted to incorporate some shrub color displays. So I did that by using some of those roses in those spaces to kind of really showcase what the foundation landscape of like the clubhouse could be. The Course 10 project has been exciting for all of the resort. It's the first time in many years that we've built a new golf course. It's a brand new property, and it's been exciting for the whole golf community. But also it's been challenging because the landscape out there, they're wanting to have a whole different feel. They don't want anything that looks formal. They don't want anything that looks like it belongs at the hotel. And so I've been challenged a lot with the landscape out there with coming up with native looking plant material and or using native plant material itself that fits into the design and scope and scale that they want around the structures and the entrances and things like that. Just recently I completed the halfway house out there. I used a lot of the Little Henry Sweet Spire, and then I'm also using a lot of it at the main entrance to kind of provide that look of native looking material, but still have a little bit of color from the white flowers that they do. We do have a lot of challenges when it comes to our landscapes with the public spaces that are used for events, whether they be corporate events and dinners or wedding receptions or even wedding ceremonies and things. A lot of the spaces I deal with are nothing golf course related. Everything around the hotels, everything around the clubhouses and things where functions and or tents need to be set up, or people need to park things temporarily or store things temporarily before they go out into the courses. The event spaces we have, like our lawn spaces, are used a lot for those types of events. And so we have to really take into account where the tables are being set up at, where they're setting up cooking stations, but also I want to provide some color or some interest to those guests that are sitting there. That was one of the reasons we redid the west lawn and made it a Proven Winner's signature garden, and put a lot of those hydrangeas out there, a lot of the loropetalum out there that contrast, but also I put some roses and things out there that really provide a look, but don't impede on that space of where people are going to be walking or walking by a buffet station to get food. And so we do have to work a lot around that and keep those things in mind, really. I had an issue around a pool facility that we have where it was a very narrow bordered space that was directly around the pool deck and patio itself, that had a shrub in it that was not performing very well at all. It was something put in with the initial landscape that was planted. And it also was a shrub that bloomed in like the early spring before the pool even opened. That doesn't make any sense. People are sitting here. I want something that's gonna bloom when people are here. So I want something that's summer blooming, but I also need something that's tall that provides a little bit of screening, because a lot of people at the pool don't have a lot of clothes on. So you wanted to provide something with a little bit of screening. And so I ended up using and finding purple pillar hibiscus to plant through the edge of that pool deck space. It provided a nice tall border, but also these beautiful purple flowers that are blooming all summer long, which gave a lot of interest to that space that didn't have it before. I would say that Proven Winners has a lot of specialty material that you're not gonna find. You may find something similar, but not that fits exactly like color or shape-wise when it comes to the shrub material that they offer. It's also really nice to know that they've put in a much longer testing program to the Proven Winners material to really see how they'll do in different environments and different climates, and knowing that these plants did well or didn't do well. If they do find something that begins to not work so well, they're always bringing in, introducing new varieties that will maybe replace something that didn't work so well initially, still provide a lot of that color and use in those spaces. The thing that got me into plants in the first place was honestly my mom. My mom passed away a little over 10 years ago, but she always had like a flower bed on the side of the driveway. And it got to a point where she no longer maintained it. She either got tired of it or just tired from her daily day working and everything. And so I started doing that in high school, taking care of that flower bed. My dad was also always very active outside, maintaining the yard, doing cleanup and things like that. And so it was something I saw a lot of, working out in the yard in one way or another. I was a very outdoors kid, so I always loved and was interested in plant material and things like that, learning why does this one make me itch versus why does this one poke me in the side, or things like that. What are they and what they do? And so I began to learn. I took horticulture classes in high school just to learn basics. Really excelled and was interested in that because it's also semi-science based. I'm very logically minded where I think in those realms of why does this work like this? How do I make it work differently? And then ended up going to Sandhills for 2 years, Sandhills Community College, and got my landscape and horticulture degree. When I was in college, since it was here, I really fell in love with this area and kind of came back down to Pinehurst after I completed my internship and working there in Raleigh, and kind of have been here since. As you get into like the whole landscape field and landscape industry, you have to understand and you have to also convince other people that landscapes are not stagnant. They are constantly changing, and it may be because of reasons you want them to or don't want them to, but you have to address those challenges and come up with solutions to those challenges for whether they be clients or personal properties or properties that you work at, and learning solutions to those problems, whatever they are. Also having a really good irrigation system that will maintain your plant material and keep things in place, and knowing how to repair those systems is a great thing to do.